So today we're talking to Edwin Shank of the Family Cow about his pastured poultry operation, and specifically how that pastured poultry integrates with his raw milk dairy that he has established. And so we've been touring the farm this morning, taking a look at all the hens, the broilers, and just seeing the interplay of what they're doing in pasture, and just getting to know the Family Cow and Edwin Shank a little bit.
Well, I'm Edwin Shank, and my wife and I in 1990 became the fourth generation owners, operators of this farm here. And so this is 27 years later. We started off our operation not thinking about pastured poultry at all. It wasn't really on our radar screen. I knew there was such a thing, but it wasn't really something I was into. We were into dairy. We were organic dairy farmers. We're transitioning the farm to organic. About the time we got it transitioned to organic, and we're certified organic, and we started selling organic milk, and the whole raw milk thing started, where the customers came to us and said, we would like to buy your milk raw, which was okay with us, and we started, marketing raw milk. Well, then we discovered those same customers also were interested in, they wanted pastured eggs from organic farms, they wanted pastured poultry from organic farms, they wanted pastured turkey, and we thought about it a little bit, and we said, well, yeah, we've had backyard chickens pretty much all of our lives. How hard can it be? So yeah, we started very small. I think our first flock of pastured chickens was maybe 60 or something like that. And we did those, and that one didn't go too bad. And so, and the customers loved them. That was the big deal. We obviously were doing this just for the customers. It wasn't a matter of us doing this and then trying to convince the customer that this is what you want. They were coming to us and saying, could you do this? So we did 60, and they were like sold out in a couple days or a week. And we were like, well, that isn't going to last very long. And so we kept growing from there. Yeah. Yeah. 2010 was our first year for any kind of poultry whatsoever at all. So we're only in our 7th year of poultry.
And so that really then, poultry was your diversification.
Poultry definitely was our diversification. And it still is somewhat, although it's definitely become kind of neck and neck with the cattle as far as which one is the primary operation, which one, the poultry with 15,000 broilers a year we're doing now. They're all raised here on the farm. We butcher them here on the farm. We sell them directly to customers. We don't go to wholesale. We don't go to restaurants. When you get to that 15,000 broilers, we do about 2,100 laying hens and about 1,000 turkeys. And so, yeah, pretty soon we'll say we're a chicken farm, and we also have some cows. If you're doing pastured poultry, my feeling is that it's fine to change the scope of your building structures and things, as long as you don't violate the fundamental principles. The fundamental principle of the silent and pen, the 10 by 12s that we started with, had all the same things in it. We had water, we had feed, we had a floorless pen, we had fresh air, we had sunlight, and of course we had mobility. And these have this exact same things in them. It's just that we're doing it on a much larger scale. We have 5 buildings instead of 40. And it's still a very small scale in anybody's mind. I mean, in anybody that's into the compared to conventional agriculture, it's a very small scale chicken operation. But it is now, I think, more doable on this scale with buildings which you can move this quickly. It's just it's also something that our boys can help with a lot more. The Salatin pens were much harder you can't send a 10-year-old out to move a Salatin pen. We can run up to 600 birds per shelter. Okay. It works best, and what we're doing right now is 450. We think, we're still experimenting with this. This is only our 2nd full year of running these shelters. And our experience seems to be that you can put 600 birds in there, but because that is, how should I say, it's not exactly crowded, but whenever you put less birds in, they all grow better. So we find that 450 birds in a 700 square foot building, it's 20 feet wide, each building's 20 feet wide, 35 feet long, that's 700 square feet. You put 450 birds in there, and they will grow. It seems that's where we get our best growth rates. So yeah. So basically, therefore we start off our batches in the same way. We'll get in a batch of birds every week, 450 in the brooder, and then we'll move those after 3 weeks in the brooder. They move to the pasture, and then they'll be in the pasture until butchering day, which is 7 weeks, 8 weeks, sometimes depending on how big we want the birds. We brood for 3 weeks. It just the temperatures that they need in the first 3 weeks. It's kind of at that stage, where the mother hen, in the completely natural situation, would be brooding them underneath her wings, so we'll keep them in the brooder, start them out at 90 degrees the first week, drop them back 80, 70, 60, and finally the last week in the brooder is not so much. It's an acclimation stage where we're starting to leave the doors open, starting to leave the windows open, getting them used to the fact that it gets colder at night and fluctuations. And then by the end of the 3rd week, they're basically ready to come out and face the real world of the pasture situation, where you got a lot more variations. Good morning, girls. It's ready to come out to your new grass this morning. It's breakfast time. They definitely are happy hens. I get a kick out of watching them come out like that. It's always one of the most neat things in the morning. Just sort of letting the cows out of the barn. Let the chickens out in the morning, and they're certainly happy. This has been maybe a week since the cows were here. If you look around, you can see cow patties and things, and you can tell by the shortness of the grass, it's not been extremely long. But in another 2 weeks, we'll be bringing the cows back across here again. We try to keep the egg mobiles somewhat as close to the cows, but the cows move a little faster. Okay. And so the egg mobiles some days are just maybe 3 days behind the cows, but because the cows are moving faster, then that gets a little longer. After a while, it's 4 days, 5 days. And that's just kind of the way it is. We move the chickens every day, but the chickens only move about 100 feet per day or something like that. And the cows are moving around 200 feet a day. So the cow rotation is faster.
Now, tell us a little bit about this egg mobile.
Okay, well, let's go over and look at it. What we have here is a system that provides everything the chicken needs, and yet all totally mobile. Because when you're doing a pastured system, as you know, everything has to be mobile. So whether it's the water, we got water in the back, water tank in the back, or whether it's the nesting boxes along the side here, or whether it's simply the weather protection, the shade that's on the top, or we also have a feed storage area on the back. So our goal is to provide everything from feed, from water, from nesting box, from roosting space, to predator protection, all of it completely mobile, so it doesn't matter where we need that chicken manure, which is one of the reasons we have them out here, is for the chicken manure, the nitrogen, the bug control. No matter where we want that, we can basically place that mobile somewhere in the pasture, and it's not like, oh, we can't go down there because the electric doesn't reach that far, or the water doesn't reach that far, but it's totally mobile. 400-foot circle around the building that they forage, and theoretically we could move it maybe 200 feet would maybe be a little bit better. Part of the reason we don't is because we generally move the buildings while the chickens are actually out in the pasture. If you move the building too far, the chicken can't follow. The chickens don't have a very big brain, and they get lost. Yeah. And you move the building too far, and you'll have this. Maybe just be 20 hens that somehow get separated, and they're back here across the hill, and they're like, "Where's my house?" Yeah. Yeah. So that's you got to kind of move it slowly. About 100 feet a day seems to work real good. We used to do fencing. We had the pastured netting that we'd put around them. We found that to be very labor intensive, and so several years ago here we switched to guard dogs. And we have 2 guard dogs out here. The one is a Great Pyrenees. The other one is a Marama sheepdog. And they're a pair. I think it's good to have, if you have dogs, to maybe have 2 of them. That way they give some company. But the neat thing about the dogs is we don't need to put fence up for the chickens anymore. we used to come out at night and we'd put all the chickens inside the coop and literally close the doors because, we don't want anything getting them. Well, I'll tell you what, you do that for, all summer long at 10 o'clock at night when you want to go to bed, go out there and put your chickens away first, and you start thinking of better options. And for us, guard dogs was the answer. We love them. They are extremely effective against nocturnal predators. They will definitely, if they see a hawk or any kind of a bird, it can even just be a crow flying over. They don't know the difference, but they will go out and they will bark and follow that bird along, and they won't let the bird come down. So yeah, they do a good job, but because of the size of the flock in the daytime, we do still have a little bit of aerial predators. So these are not handicapped chickens. They're very much, if there's any bugs out there, they will get that thing so fast. The chickens don't know that they're doing any fertility job or sanitization jobs, but the chicken is actually doing that. It's just kind of their God-given role. It's sort of like the cow, when she's eating the tall grass, she doesn't thinking about the fact that I'm gonna eat this tall grass so the chicken walking behind me can walk better. She's just eating grass because she likes it. But yeah, we try to use all those different systems to do a function for us, which of course is to fertilize the pastures and for bug control.